First, let's take a look at where we are at. We are going to have to be painfully honest with ourselves. We are going to have to leave behind old assumptions. This may get uncomfortable and difficult, but revolutions are hard, so buckle up. Although it feels like things have gotten worse in the world, generally speaking, people have a higher standard of living than ever before. More folks have access to vast amounts of information, so there's real progress being made. There is a small group, however, that might disagree. We are going to call this group the faction. For those born into multi-generational power positions, the spread of democracy and systematic freedoms is an encroachment on their position. Their names and numbers change, but the system they use to maintain their power remains the same. Unfortunately, these are the same folks who have historically made the rules, so improvement has been slow for the rest of us. But it is happening. Voting is arguably the most power we each have, and nearly all men and women have secured the right to vote in the U.S. That wasn't always the case, and it was a hard fight. It is easy to imagine that the faction was not thrilled that more people would have voting rights. They fought for it then, and we could assume that they might still work to maintain their positions of power today. Except we don't have to assume. The faction works to limit any erosion of their power in broad daylight. They work against equality, individual liberty, and justice. They use propaganda, psychological warfare, and intimidation to divide us. If the population was informed by facts and data, and then voted accordingly, it would be the end of the faction's power. Power and greed has sickened the faction to the point that they lack a sense of fairness, moral values, and have no remorse for the injustice they perpetuate in the name of maintaining their power. Simply put, they are sick. We can't just ask them to get better. We have to help them. Power corrupts by its very nature. Power seeks more power, and the ancient illness takes hold. The only way for a society to reach the goal of liberty and justice for all is to divide the power evenly, each member holding a small bit within a system that prevents abuse and the concentration of power. The whole point of the first American Revolution was to wrestle the power away from a king and establish a system where the power is shared equally. This revolution will work towards that same end. There is no reason for bloodshed. This is a war of information. Using the Constitution as a shield and its promises as a sword, we will take a giant leap towards liberty and justice for all.